Hello, Professor VJ. I hope you're having a great day. I wanted to come back and provide some more content to you. If you don't mind, please like and subscribe to my channel. I'm just starting out and I'm trying to grow my channel, so I hope that I can provide some great content that you feel worthy of liking and subscribing to this video. So today's topic, I wanted to come and talk about the situation at Howard University. There was an article that was in the ABC News Online, and it was a pretty good article. I know a lot of other news outlets, a lot of other vloggers have talked about the situation in Howard. So I wanted to weigh in on it, provide some information, and give my personal opinion at the end. So according to this article, Howard University students protest housing conditions with on-campus tent city. Protesters say they would rather sleep outside than live in college dorms. The article goes on to say that Howard University students are camping out protesting over housing conditions. For nearly 2 weeks, more than 150 Howard University students are occupying the Blackburn Center. Dozens of Howard University students are sleeping outdoors in a tent encampment on campus grounds to protest what they describe as poor and unlivable conditions in the college dormitories. Since October 12th, students have demonstrated and taken over the Blackburn University Center, a student hub and cafeteria located in the central yard of the campus. Organizers said they are not allowing administrators inside the Blackburn building. The article goes on to, it's a pretty long article, but I wanted to talk about the highlights of this. There was another statement that was made in this article. There were students whose belongings were lost or have been destroyed by flood, by mold, by all types of insufficient living conditions, and it's hurtful. Even if you're not the person who's experiencing that, just listening and taking it in, with us being a community, it's very hurtful to hear, said one Howard University graduate student and the director of the Live Movement, which is a campus-based organization focused on advocating for racial equity in education. There have been more than 34 reports of concern related to discoloration, suspected fungal growth across more than 550 beds. 50 beds. This represents 0.67% of the total on-campus housing, according to Howard University officials. And according to the officials, the well-being of our students is always one of Howard's top concerns. We will always support students' right to peacefully protest. The administration is actively addressing the concerns students have shared. While there have only been a small number of documented reports, we are actively seeking out any issues that may be in the dorms by going door to door to address each room. Frank Tramble, Vice President of Communications and Chief Communications Officer at Howard University, said in a statement to ABC News. The article goes on to state, the Howard University Division of Student Affairs also acknowledged the presence of mold in select residence halls and in an email to students, but assured them that the issue is not widespread. So the statement from the university official, there have been rooms in residence halls that were affected by mold growth. The university's response held the third-party vendor fully accountable, and they are conducting mold remediation and HVAC duct cleaning in impacted rooms and throughout the building as part of their third quarter preventive maintenance, one of the officials said from the university. The official went on to say long, hot, wet summers, record high temperatures, and humidity are environmental factors that create the climate conditions that foster mold growth. We have listened to our students' concerns and we have been responsive, the official stated. However, some students believe the damage may be more widespread than officially reported. Demonstrators are demanding a town hall meeting with Howard University President Wayne Frederick. They are also pressuring the administration to reinstate students, faculty, and alumni on the University Board of Trustees, who were previously removed from their positions after the university voted unanimously in June to restructure the board to improve the process of governance. Students are also asking for a plan of action to improve housing for incoming students and provide academic and legal immunity for all students participating in the protests. The students go on to say, "We are not satisfied. What we're hearing is all talk. We're waiting for these actions to be put in place so we can allow Howard to have their Blackboard and cafeteria back. But until then, we will still occupy that space until the demands are met." This is from one of the student representatives. Okay, so this is a pretty long article. So I wanted to stop here and, well, let me go on before I give my personal opinion and my personal experiences. So that the article that I just read was dated October 23rd, 2021. That was from ABC News. So subsequent to that, on October 25th, the Executive Vice President and Chief Operating Officers provided a statement on Howard's website, also on Instagram and social media in response to the student concerns. And also on October 26, 2021, the President, Mr. Wayne Franklin, also provided a statement on Howard's website as well. Wayne A. Franklin. Oh, Frederick, I'm sorry. Okay, Frederick, I'm sorry, Wayne Frederick, my apologies. Okay, so I wanted to highlight more so the Chief Operating Officer because there were some actionable items here. So in response to the student concerns, as I just read to you, this is what Howard's response is to the students. Dear Howard University community, we have placed all residence halls in hypercare, HYPER. This means that there are additional staff resources and activity occurring in our residence halls to ensure living accommodations are healthy and safe. This statement goes on to state, currently there are multiple vendors on campus assigned to each building who are conducting extensive preventive maintenance activities and are taking proactive measures to address our student needs. The following hypercare activities are ongoing and will continue throughout the semester. So there's some bullet point items here. So I wanted to go through those and share those with you as well. So the first one is wellness checks are being conducted with our residents by residential life staff. Number 2, ongoing microbial wipe downs of all rooms in each residence hall and regular monitoring. Number 3, filter changes in HVAC equipment as part of the third quarter fall maintenance. Number 4, deep cleaning of mechanical equipment. Number 5, enhanced daily cleansing and increases the number of cleaning shifts in each residence hall. Number 6, assignment of a vice president and dean to each residence hall to conduct daily visits and to be present in case students have unmet needs that need to be escalated. The next item, conducting training with our residents to teach them how to identify fungal growth and to report any issues that they find in a timely manner. The next one, urging our students to go to the health center if they feel sick. The next, regular check-ins with students who have reported any signs of mold, mildew, or any fungal growth in their dorms. We are listening to our residents and we are meeting them where they are. Over the past few weeks, members of our administration have been visiting residence halls to talk to our students, document unmet residential needs, and address them. This effort has been very successful, and we will continue to do so as we execute our hyper care strategy. And so that was an excerpt from, as I mentioned, the Executive Vice President of President and Chief Operating Officer, Tashani Ann Dubry, PhD. So that's Dr. Dubroy. And so it goes on to state that over the past 2 weeks, we have invited building inspectors, alumni, deans, government officials, and donors to tour our residence halls. We will continue to do so as we demonstrate transparency in our campus and housing operations. Okay. So that's the information that's been publicized, like I said, on Howard's website and also in the media. But I wanted to also, so that was from, as I mentioned, the Executive Vice President and Chief Operating Officer. So the statement that the President made on the website, it says, "Dear Howard University community, the conclusion of a safe and enjoyable homecoming season, one that brought together the many different branches of our Howard University community, offers a reminder of what this institution has historically represented and the purpose driving our continued existence." It's kind of a long statement, but I wanted to go into some of the highlights. Okay, so it goes on. Protests have been a perennial part of our institutional culture. Past and present Bison, motivated by concern for others, have used their platforms as student leaders to call for change from institutional leadership. Those past movements have taken many forms and were rarely quiet or tranquil affairs, yet they did maintain a fidelity to recognizing objectives, facts, and verifiable truths. Okay, so it goes on to say there may be areas where we agree to disagree. That's the nature of a vibrant community. However, Howard University's proud tradition of student protest has never been and never can be invoked as a justification for tactics that harm our students. The current occupation of the Armour J. Blackburn Center is a departure from past norms. There is a distinct difference between peaceful protest and freedom of expression and the occupation of a university building that impedes operations and access to essential services and creates health and safety risks. So that's an excerpt. I don't want to read the whole thing. So I wanted to stop here and take it all in. Based on the information that I've just provided, I wanted to share my own personal opinion. Again, these are just my opinions, my own experiences. And full disclosure, I am an alumni of Howard University. If I may not have said that in previous videos that I've provided. But I am a proud alumni of Howard University, and this saddens me that this is what is being publicized throughout the country about the housing conditions, about the dorm situation, the fact that the students feel more comfortable sleeping in a tent out in the elements than they do in their own dorm rooms. That saddens me greatly. I actually lived in the dorms. My freshman year, I lived in the quad, which is the dormitory for all freshmen females that come into the university, or it used to be when I was there back in the 80s. So we're talking 35 plus years ago. I attended Howard and graduated in 4 years, I'm proud to say. And from my freshman year to my sophomore, I lived in Meridian Hill. Many of you that may watch this video at some point will recognize those names. There were some other dorms that were on campus and off campus. The goal of most universities, especially the size of Howard, is to guarantee housing the freshman year. What I found to be true is that that is what is published in the marketing materials, but that is not always what happens in reality. I had not visited Howard before attending. In fact, that Howard was the only university that I applied for, and I had gotten offers from many universities. But Howard is where I wanted to go. It has a very proud tradition. I have family members that have graduated from Howard's Law School, other schools within Howard, other disciplines. Mine was political science and English, so I was in the School of Liberal Arts. I know people that as freshmen they were housed in a residence hall that used to be a hotel that was off 14th Street. That's a very bad part of Washington, D.C. It's called Eaton Hall. There was Slow Hall, there was Eaton Hall, there was Bethune, Meridian. I'm just trying to think of some of the dorms when I was there. The quad I was in Baldwin, so it was the quadrangle, we call it the quad. It was the main hub for all when you first arrived at Howard. There was the wall, we used to call it, right in front of the quad. It was kind of our protected barrier. But at any rate, I have very fond memories of attending Howard University. It really saddens me that some of the same issues that we had when I lived in the dorm are still present. Um, Maybe not to the degree that the students are dealing with now, not to the degree that we felt we had to protest, but I will say that I was not paying nearly the amount of money that these students are paying now. Between the housing and tuition, I was actually shocked at how much they're paying right now. It totally blew my mind. I know that education is expensive. I'm an educator, I'm a professor, so I understand that. But knowing, again, my history with Howard, of course I'm talking 35 years, so, keeping up with inflation, I expect it to be higher than when I attended, but not exorbitantly high. When I look at how much these students are paying, $50,000 a year, that's a lot of, that's a lot of money. And for parents that have sacrificed to send their kids to college, parents expect more, students expect more, alumni like myself expect more, the community expects more, those proud professionals that Howard has educated. Howard has a very rich tradition. We call it the Mecca. And the Mecca brings with it such pride, such legacy, such history. And I'm really sad that we're in this place. In my opinion, it's a failure of leadership. I worked in corporate America for a very long time. I worked for different organizations. What, in my opinion, I see is a failure of a strategic plan. And it's interesting to me because every year I always get literature asking for, alumni donations. And in fact, I want to read an article here. It was in one of the articles that I have here, that in the last 2 years, this is even more disturbing. It was in this, I think it was in this article, and again, I digress here, but this is the money part of it. Let's see, it was in this article. Just a moment, please. Okay, here it is. Over the past 2 years, Howard University has received large donations, including a $40 million donation from billionaire philanthropist Mackenzie Scott, Jeff Bezos' ex-wife, the most significant senior donor gift in Howard's history. HBCUs, which stands for Historically Black Colleges across the country, received approximately $2.6 billion through the CARES Act Higher Education Emergency Relief Fund, a $40 billion funding allocation set aside for higher education as a part of American Rescue Plan. Excuse me. In 2020, HBCU saw a surge in admissions. Howard University experienced a 15.9% increase in fall 2020 applications, according to a press release. So again, listening to those numbers, knowing, that that's the single largest donation, but alumni like myself and others over the years have given, a tremendous amount of money to Howard, because I get the solicitations every year since I've graduated, every single year. In fact, I got one the other day talking about homecoming, which they just celebrated last weekend, I believe. And I implore leadership. And again, I read to you the excerpts from the statement from the president, from the executive vice president, chief operating officer. In my opinion, a lot of the things that they're doing now, they should have been doing years ago. Again, I left Howard back in the 80s. I graduated, I attended in the mid 80s. There is no reason why there still should be buildings 40, 50, 100 years old that are in total disrepair. The buildings were old when I attended Howard University. There should have been a plan in place, as we do in our own homes, that we have to keep upgrading, we have to keep modernizing, we have to keep pace. Sometimes we have to redo our wiring, our plumbing, our lighting, a coat of paint, our flooring, our window treatments, our landscaping. That's part of a building maintenance. That's part of building and staying. And again, in a public sector like university, it's compliance, it's health and safety. It goes beyond just the aesthetics. You put a coat of paint on a building, but if there's asbestos or is there lead in the paint, again, I'm not suggesting that's Howard, but just generally speaking, With the mold can be very insidious, and you know, I'm just really saddened by it. I know that the leadership can turn this around, but I hope this is a wake up call for Howard and for other universities. You have to do better. The students deserve better. Howard has a very rich tradition. It has graduated, including myself, some really great professionals that have gone out into the world, that have done great things, that have given back. Those of us who have paid it forward, we've been mentors for those behind us. We have contributed greatly to our communities in which we live and serve, to the organizations, the companies that we have built. So I know that Howard can do better. The world is watching now. The students are relentless. We didn't protest the housing when I was there. Perhaps we should have. But we were happy to be there. Again, because of the tradition of the university, it's very competitive to get into Howard. It is our, I'm not going to say that, but anyway, it's commonly known as the Mecca. So a very rich tradition. Like I said, I'm really, really saddened by this turn of events. If the university feels that they need to hire an outside consulting company, please do so. Please get on a strategic plan for your housing. The parents deserve better. The students deserve better. We must do better because it would be very sad for Howard University to not make this situation better and to end up like other universities that have fallen by the wayside. Because I've got to say, if I had a child going to this college right now and they talked about Howard, I don't know that I could recommend it, even as a graduate of that great university. I still think it's a great university. I will always think of that because of the professionals that it has produced. Many were the first in their families to go to college. There was such great pride walking across the yard, going to Blackburn. That was the hangout. Going to Founders Library, going to the chapel on Sundays, just the law school, the picnics, beginning of each school year. I have very fond memories of Howard. So this is very sad for me. So I do know that they will get better. I have faith that they will. I have faith that they will do the right thing, that they will get the right leaders in place. And if that means moving people out of certain leadership positions, that's what should happen, because this is a situation that needs to be rectified, and needs to be rectified very quickly, because the students deserve better, and they're still paying these high rates of tuition and housing. While these new buildings are being built, Howard should have a plan in place to house them at hotels, other housing arrangements, Airbnbs or something. But some of these dorms need to be torn down and start over with. I know, and I've been to homecoming probably a few years ago was the last time I was up there. They do have new dorms, but not enough. There's still some of those old buildings that were there when I was there, and they're safety hazards at this point. And Howard should have a plan. If a building is 30, 40 years old, that, okay, we've got to start thinking about, replacing it, because it's no longer going to be safe after 40 years, So at any rate, you have to do the ROI, return on investment. You have to look at the numbers. So I hope that Howard will get this together. I don't want to keep relaboring it, but it really saddens me that we're at this place when we shouldn't be, especially with with what went on last year. That was a great opportunity for the university to really, maximize that time when students were doing the online learning, but they didn't take advantage of that opportunity. So that saddens me even more. Again, lack of leadership, a failure of leadership to take advantage of that opportunity when the students were doing the distance learning, remote learning. That would have been a perfect opportunity to take care of a lot of these issues. So take care. Again, Professor BJ here. Have a great day. Bye-bye.